Today we're going to make this witch's hat wreath using mostly Dollar Tree items. Welcome to Stillwater's Wreath Designs. Come on in. You'll find a full materials and tools list for you below in the description of this video so that you can recreate this if you'd like to do so. We're going to start out by using our 10-inch Deco mesh. You'll also need a couple of 6-inch zip ties and a pair of scissors. We're going to start out by wrapping the top portion of our witch's hat with our black Deco mesh. I'm curling underneath the ends and then folding the 10-inch Deco mesh in half just to give that some extra density and better coverage. We'll start by anchoring our Deco mesh at the peak of the witch's hat with our 6-inch zip tie. You're just going to poke that right through your Deco mesh and anchor it down to the wire frame. Be sure to trim off the excess bit of that zip tie. Go ahead and repeat that same step at the very peak of your hat, anchoring it down on that pointy end. Now we're going to wrap the top portion of our witch's hat with the black Deco mesh, making sure you keep it folded in half as you continually wrap your way down to the brim of the hat. I found it easier to let my roll of Deco mesh fall to the floor so that I could easily keep it gathered in half and wrap my hat. I found it easier later on to just continually spin the hat and not the Deco mesh. Make sure you let that Deco mesh overlap the previous layer all the way down to the brim of your hat. This part's a little bit a labor of love, but just keep wrapping. Once you reach the brim of your hat, go ahead and grab a couple of 6-inch zip ties and anchor that down to the wire frame, and then trim off the excess bit of Deco mesh. Now I'm going to take my hot glue gun and add a couple of small pea-sized amounts of glue underneath the pleats to make sure that that Deco mesh doesn't slide later. Now it's time to add our Deco mesh into the brim of the hat. We're going to be using the 10-inch Deco mesh again, two different colors, black and gray, and we're going to cut 12 pieces of each measured at 12 inches in length. This may vary depending on how tightly you add your mini cruffles into the brim of the hat. We'll also be adding black and purple Deco mesh tubing into the mini cruffles on the brim of our hat. So we're going to need to cut 28-inch length pieces. We'll be pairing one piece per each cruffle, so you'll need equal amounts of the Deco mesh tubing for your cruffles. All right, let's begin making our mini cruffles. We're going to stagger them along the brim of our hat. So we'll alternate between the black and the gray 12-inch pieces of Deco mesh, making cruffles, and then making a figure 8 loop with our Deco mesh tubing, adding a half of pipe cleaner around our cruffle and Deco mesh tubing set, and then attaching it down into the brim of our hat. As we work our way through the brim, adding in our cruffle combinations, we're going to wrap the pipe cleaners around both the upper and the lower on those outer edges. And as we get closer to the center, we're going to stagger our Deco mesh tubing and cruffle bundles back and forth between the upper wire of the brim and the lower wire, just to help give it extra depth and texture. On both sides, I wrapped the cruffle bundles around both the upper and the lower for just those first 4 on each of the sides. Then I began staggering between the upper and the lower, and for the few in the middle near that crossbar, I used a full-size pipe cleaner and wrapped around both the upper and the lower to really get a nice, compact, and full set of Deco mesh tubing and cruffle bundles into our hat. Before I began assembling my cruffle and Deco mesh tubing bundles, I did grab a handful of pipe cleaners and cut them in half and folded them into a loose V so that they were ready and available to secure the Deco mesh tubing onto our cruffles. Be sure to twist those pipe cleaners really, really tightly so that they have a nice firm adherence, and do the same as you attach them around the wire frame of the brim of your hat. Once you've secured your cruffle bundles down around the wire frame of your wreath, make sure you take your small snips and trim off those excess bits of pipe cleaners and curl those ends under. As you can see, I paired the purple Deco mesh tubing with my black Deco mesh Cruffle, and then I paired the black Deco mesh tubing with my gray Cruffles. It makes for a great color combination, and I alternated back and forth between the two. Once you've got all of your Deco mesh and tubing Cruffles added into the brim of your hat, go ahead and fluff those out, flip it back over, and now we're just going to run a quick bead of glue where those pipe cleaners meet the wreath frame to make sure that they don't slide around. Then give your glue a few minutes to dry, and we're on to the next step. Next, we're going to make a Deco mesh flower piece for the tip of our hat. I'm just going to make 5 figure eights with both the purple and the black, approximately 6 inches in total length, and I'm just going to layer them one on top of the other and secure it with a pipe cleaner. Now give that Deco mesh tubing flower a good fluff, and then we're going to secure it to the tip of our witch's hat with another black pipe cleaner. Time to add some embellishments. I grabbed this floral pick and those purple appliques, also from the Dollar Tree. We're going to add 3 floral stems to the top of our witch's hat at a diagonal, and then we'll also hot glue some of those cute little glittery purple pumpkins throughout the brim of the hat of our wreath. I'm using a piece of leftover floral stem that I've trimmed down to about 1 inch in length. I'm poking that right down into those foam glittery pumpkins, adding a dollop of glue and securing them down into the hat. There were a couple of cute spooky spiders that were included with those black and purple bouquets from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to trim out one of those spiders and hot glue that guy down towards the top of our hat. And now we're finished. Thanks for spending time with me today, friends. Happy crafting!